Hi everyone, Pam Gregory, astrologer. I'm going to be speaking to you today about the first half of July and in particular the new moon that we have coming up in Cancer on the 4th. Now the energy in July is going to feel very different from the energy in June. Firstly, we've lost that mutable grand cross where people felt very pulled in different directions. We've lost most of that. The only thing that remains now is the square between Saturn in Sagittarius at about 10 of Sagittarius, squaring Neptune at 12 degrees of Pisces. And that square is actually going to continue till about mid-October. Now, I've written about this a great deal and talked about it. It's an aspect which can manifest in the world, particularly amongst our world leaders, as what's true and what's not, and what's real and what's not. What can I believe and what not? What can I trust and what not? But equally in your own lives, things that you felt were permanent, maybe shifting, maybe dissolving. The very positive side of it is you can make real your dream. You can really ground your vision and make it practical and pragmatic with this aspect. So it can be incredibly productive and helpful in that way too. It's had many other manifestations in the real world, and I talk about all the examples of the planetary configurations in the first half of my monthly newsletter in terms of what is actually happening in the world that reflects the astrological symbolism of the time. And that helps people learn, but it also helps to show how astrology is unfolding in the world all the time. So if you'd like that, I'll mention the details at the end. The other thing about July is it's going to be really quite an emotional month, particularly around about the the new moon at about on the 4th of July. We have 7 planets, including Chiron, in water signs. At the time of the new moon, 4 of those are going to be in Cancer. So there's a lot of feeling, a lot of emotion, sensitivity, compassion, kindness, caring. It's very much also about feeling secure, emotionally secure, practically secure, having that Cancer emphasis. And it's also about nurturing, wanting to nurture other people, but also remembering that we also need self-nurturing too. And it's interesting also that Cancer is one of the signs most associated with the past. It's associated with history and sentimentality and going back to the past with your emotions. And it's very interesting at a time of fast-changing consciousness, fast-changing energy. I think part of the question that this new moon poses is, are our emotions keeping up with that? Or are our emotions tending to pull us back to the past? So because it's always a new beginning at a new moon, you have the chance to set a new intention emotionally for your emotions going forwards to make sure that your emotions are keeping up with where you want to go energetically for the future. So this new moon happens on the 4th of July, which of course is Independence Day in America, and it happens at 12 degrees 53 minutes of Cancer, so almost 13 degrees of Cancer. It happens at 4 a.m. Pacific time and 12 noon UK time. And at this new moon, we have Venus together with the Sun and the Moon. So this is in Cancer. It's about loving feelings, really expressing loving feelings to other people. So that's going to be a very strong element of this new moon. But Pluto is also opposing the Sun and Moon. Sun and Moon always together at a new moon. So this is about power issues, power struggles. So again, we may see power plays out in the world in a particularly strong way, but also in relationship, because what's happening as well is the Uranus-Pluto square that I've talked about a great deal over the last 4 years, although that's gradually separating, transits of other planets can pull that aspect back into highlight, if you like. So for the first week of July, Venus in Cancer is opposing Pluto and squaring Uranus. And what that means is that in relationship, in your love relationship, your close relationships, there may be issues of power and control and who's in charge coming up. There may be issues around familiarity and the need for security and doing things the way you've always done them versus a different urge to be free, to be independent, to step out a little and take risks and become the individual that you truly are. So that could be the polarity that we see in the first week of July. In addition to that, we have Mercury, which then takes over from Venus, as it were, and from the 7th to the 11th of July, Mercury is in a T-square to Pluto and Uranus. So this can be about brilliant thinking, original thinking, ideas coming out of the blue, solving problems in an unusual way. It can be very inventive thinking. So just be aware of that, because it can also awaken you. Remember, Uranus is the planet of awakening, Pluto is the planet of transformation. So this can be really some extraordinary thinking coming through in those few days, and also taking you quite deep in your thinking as well, that aspect to Pluto. From the 7th to the 16th of July, the Sun is in aspect to Uranus and Pluto. So again highlighting that Uranus-Pluto square that we've talked so much about. So transformation and awakening. So anyone with any planets between 16 and 24 degrees of the cardinal signs, they are Eris, Cancer, Libra, Capricorn, you might really be feeling this restlessness, these changes happening in your world. But what is different this time around is Uranus now has moved on to be conjunct with Eris, the dwarf planet Eris. They're both at about 23, 24 degrees of Aries. So in all the aspects I've just mentioned, it isn't just the highlight to Pluto and Uranus, it's now Pluto, Uranus plus Eris. In terms of the symbolism of Eris, think of it like a souped up version of Uranus. It has the same eruptive, disruptive, sudden, out of the blue quality. It's a female energy, it's a kind of warrior woman, and often the fighting is about the earth, defending the earth. So we'll see how that symbolism manifests over time. But if anything, that Uranus-Eris conjunction is made even stronger because it has an awkward aspect from Mars, and Mars energizes that conjunction between Uranus and Eris. Now, we already saw this aspect during June, and I've written in my newsletter and on many Facebook posts about the manifestation of this. But if anything, it's even stronger now because Mars is going direct. Mars was retrograde all the way through June up until the 29th. It then went stationary on that day, and from that point on is moving direct. So it has even more energy, if you like. Now this is going to be very helpful if you have any Aries or Scorpio emphasis, particularly ascendant, midheaven, sun or moon. You might feel a much stronger energy going forwards. Particularly if you have anything around about 23 degrees of Scorpio, I've mentioned this in earlier videos, you might have a feeling of almost relaunch, that you step out into your power with a greater confidence from this point on in early July. Because up until this point, since about mid-April, you might have felt that you couldn't quite get things going. You had projects to do, but Mercury was retrograde for much of June and Mars virtually for the whole of June. So you might have been doing a lot of research or going inwards with your energy, but now both Mercury and also Mars are moving forwards. And it's almost, when Mars has been retrograde like that, it's almost like an arrow being pulled in a bow, back and back and back, and then it's released at the end of June, and it's released with a lot of energy coming with it. Now, initially through the first half of July, Mars stays at around about that 23, 24 degrees of Scorpio point, but in the second half of July, it really starts to accelerate. And by the 21st of August, Mars will have moved beyond what is known as its shadow phase. Now, what that means is, on the 21st of August, Mars will move beyond 9 degrees of Sagittarius, where it had previously advanced to before it started to go retrograde in the middle of April. So it gives even more energy to Mars. So particularly if you have that Scorpio emphasis and also Aries emphasis, you'll really start to feel your energy picking up, which is great. Projects can move ahead. So there's a clarity and a vigour which comes with this, better focus which comes with this. So I think you really notice the shift. Everyone will to some extent. Another very positive thing we have in the first half of July is Jupiter at 17, 18 degrees of Virgo is in a beautiful trine aspect to Pluto at 16 of Capricorn. Now, we've had this aspect a few months ago, but it can bring success, can bring abundance, recognition, personal growth opportunities. It's really positive. So if you see where Pluto is in your chart, that is representing empowerment. Pluto moves very slowly, but it's about empowerment. Jupiter is about expansion and recognition and opportunity. So see where that's moving in your chart, because this is a 12-year cycle, so it moves reasonably quickly. And in fact, just recently I finished filming about an hour's worth of teaching material on video about the Saturn and Jupiter cycles through your birth chart and what they mean at any time. So, and I'm getting great feedback on those. So if you'd like to check those out, there's a link in the description below, or go to my website, which I'll mention at the end, and you can purchase them. They're very inexpensive and will last you forever. So that's really positive, because Jupiter shows where we're potentially expanding and we can have success in our life. The other wonderful thing that's happening in this first half of June is we have a beautiful grand trine in water. So that's an equilateral triangle, initially between Venus in Cancer, then Mercury, then the Sun, are forming the third corner of a trine to Mars in Scorpio, 23 of Scorpio, and Chiron at 25 of Pisces. Now this can bring about, particularly if you have anything between 20 and 26 degrees of the water signs, they are Cancer, Scorpio and Pisces. This can bring really profound healing, emotional healing, really deep healing that will help you release old emotion and shift energetically to quite a different place. It's beautiful. So we can really make the most of that healing opportunity coming in for us in the first half of July. So lots happening. The energies, I say, will feel very different. Remember to set a new intention for this new moon in Cancer on the 4th. See where that 13 degrees of Cancer falls in your chart, so you can set a relevant new intention for that area of life. And if you'd like more information about my book, my audio book, my free monthly newsletter of about 4,000 words, my video teaching material, I've now got quite a few videos that people are really benefiting from. If you don't know where these aspects I've talked about today fall in your chart, check out the link above. People are using these videos really well now and really getting it, really understanding what these updates mean in their lives, and they become just so much more meaningful for people. So I hope you will benefit from that. Just check out, if you want my website, check out my website pamgregory.com or thenextstep.uk.com. And thanks so much for listening.